Well, that last one didn't last very long, did it? What it got? 410 views. Having passed YouTube's copyright checks until it didn't and got blocked. So there you go. Those of you that saw it will have saw what it was all about. But I'll have to try and find a way for the rest of you to at some point in time. Anyway, I'm now going to show you something that I've just seen on another form of social media on Facebook. So this is Formula One One Clips. That's the this thing here, Formula One Clips, and this is what they have produced. 2021, 2021. The truth will come out one day. Everybody knows it, in and out of the sport, that this was all wrong. So let's have a look.
Mikey, what was that?
Well, Toto, it was a facade, wasn't it, Toto, that you were in on? You'd already, F1 TV had already got you queued up to say, Michael, and it's ending, wow! Michael, yeah, you were in on it, Toto, and then rather than go to the appeal after the event yourself, you were partying like it was 1999, crowd surfing. Instead, you sent in the facade of the barrister to appeal to the great white hope himself, Derek Warwick, who was there in his Honda dealership t-shirt, inviting in the Honda Red Bull team to ask what they thought in the comments section. And then you were promised, apparently, a thorough review into the situation from the FIA, and just accepted it rather than expose that it was all corrupt. Because if you'd have exposed that it was all corrupt, Toto, then that would have brought into question the entire show of Formula One, reduced its value, and reduced the value of your 1/3 shareholding in that multi-billion-pound team, the Mercedes AMG F1 team. Honey, what do you do for money? Anyway.
Toto, it's called a motor race, okay?
Have you spoken to Michael Massey?
No. I haven't spoken to him, and I...
Oh, the drama. Almost convincing, Toto. To be fair, you did convince many of us for a period of time.
don't intend to speak to him ever again.
Mercedes have no idea what has just gone on.
Oh, they did. At least Toto Wolff did.
Max is a worthy world champion.
Oh, Max is a worthy world champion. Oh, he absolutely deserved it.
But there's no doubt Lewis was robbed. To get the rules changed in the middle of the race to...
No, Ted. 58 lap race. The middle of the race is 29 laps, okay? The middle, right, is not the last lap. All right, Ted? Let me just explain that to you. But well done, you. You passed the interview for getting a job on the telly.
The way that they normally are done is incomprehensible to Mercedes and has left the rest...
Yeah, Mercedes don't understand it. Everybody else does, but Mercedes think that there's an injustice there. So if you just like Mercedes, then maybe you'll think there's an injustice, but everybody else won't. Is that what you want to project, Ted?
rest of us asking, well, how did that happen?
How did that happen? Oh, just multiple independent events all seem to converge and all seem to coincide to produce the miracle that Christian was requesting from the racing gods. Incredible. You couldn't make it up, could you, Ted?
We were told that lapped cars couldn't unlap themselves.
Oh, Crofty. Incredulous is Crofty now. Now, we'll go through what Crofty was doing at the time.
And then we were told that lapped cars could unlap themselves.
Yeah, Crofty wouldn't know. We were told that they can't. And then we were told they could. And this is Crofty. And Crofty doesn't understand. But Crofty did understand, you see. Because Crofty was paid to understand. Paid to play his part in the facade. And this is what Crofty did. Let's have a listen.
Will they let the lap runners through?
Will they they let the lap runners through, Martin? Yeah. They have to, Martin, because it's in the regulations that they have to, and there's a purpose of that regulation, that being that due to the deployment of the safety car, Lando Norris, the orange dot behind Lewis Hamilton, okay, sat there currently in 8th position. Once the field is now bunched and the car that was just ahead of Lando has disappeared off all the way around the track and caught the back of the pack, well, now Lando's effectively lost a lap on him, just due to a car crashing. And a regulation of this sport prior to the recommencement of the sporting contest is that the cars that have been lapped, those that are eligible to do so, of which all 8 of those were, they have to be released and they have to be afforded the opportunity to make it around the track, join the back of that safety car snake to restore the correct race order, restoring sporting fairness to all of those competitors. It's a requirement. Mercedes know that. Red Bull know that. Ferrari know that. Aston Martin know that. McLaren know that. AlphaTauri know that. Williams know that. Who am I missing? Alfa Romeo at the time? Alpine. They knew that. Haas knew that. Which ones protested? Which ones protested that the regulations were broken? Oh, just Mercedes. And they accepted, when they protested to the governing body invite into that protest Red Bull to ask what Red Bull's interpretation is. And no media has expressed that as being in any way corrupt. Oh, that's questionable, isn't it? Will they let the lap runners through, says Martin. Martin asks the audience on the $1 million question.
They always do let the lap runners through, and in between.
Absolutely right, Crofty. They always do. And they have done for the last 10 seasons that you've been commentating on this. And Martin's still asking us.
Between Hamilton and Verstappen, Norris, Alonso, Ocon, Leclerc and Vettel.
Yes, but if they do that, it extends the safety car period.
Martin Brundle gaslighting everybody. If they do that, it extends it. No, it doesn't. It's just what it is. It's as long as it takes. It's not an extension, okay? An extension, Martin, would be if the procedure is carried out and the procedure which is required is that those lapped cars that are eligible get released and then the safety car stays out on track for a further lap. So the released cars get the remainder of the lap that they're released on plus one more lap, and then the safety car, according to the rules, can return to the pits. The extension would be the safety car being kept on track for further time to enable those released cars to fully catch the back of the pack. That would be the extension, but just the standard procedures. No extension, that's just what it is.
But that's what they always do, take the lap runners out of the way so they're not interfering in play.
And it's not an interference, Crofty. It's nothing to do with interference, because it's Lando Norris catching. Well, it looks like Tsunoda, but all this is due to the pit stop stagger. Gasly will pit now and take up position behind Tsunoda, but when he catches the back of the snake, he'll essentially have gained a lap on Norris when previously it was less than 12 seconds ahead of Norris. That can't be allowed to happen. It's nothing to do with, that's what they always do, is get them out of the way so they're not interfering. So Crofty here is gaslighting you at this stage here. On Facebook, Crofty is incredulous. Firstly, they told us that they weren't going to be released. Well, that's what they always do, Crofty. And then they said they were. And, it was all confusing for everybody, wasn't it, Crofty? Oh, this is Crofty trying to acknowledge. Crofty's acknowledging the failings here. Them failings that he couldn't acknowledge real life, real time. Let's review those failings a bit more, shall we, Crofty? I've fast forwarded a bit. Here we go. Martin again.
And but will they let the lap runners through? I don't think.
Well, Martin once again asking the audience, will they carry out the procedure that has to be carried out? Why are you asking that, Martin? Why would the presented expert of the sport be proposing to the global audience, will they carry out this procedure? Will they do it? Well, it has to be. It has to be. Gasly's pitted now. He's back here, but he will soon catch Tsunoda. And this group of cars here will soon catch up with Perez before Perez retires. And there'll be the safety car, Snake. And Norris, the orange dot behind Hamilton, he'll now be a lap behind Gasly, or almost. Will they restart the race now with Norris at such a disadvantage? That disadvantage caused by the deployment of the safety car due to... No, that's why the regulations exist. And that's why the race director has to apply those regulations before we go racing. But Brundle is asking the audience whether those mandatory regulations will be applied or not. Why would you ask that, Martin? Why would you ask that? Have you been reading up on 15.3 and Red Bull's interpretation of 15.3? The notion of the race director having the overriding authority over the safety car, and Red Bull interpreting that, for the first time ever, because they've never interpreted it that way before. But at Abu Dhabi 2021, only because never since either, they interpreted it that way. But it's not a valid interpretation, because if it produces outcomes that are invalid, then the proposal of that being a correct interpretation is invalid, isn't it? Yes. And what 15.3 actually is that the race director has the overriding authority over the deployment of the safety car and the utilisation of that safety car on the grounds of safety and sporting fairness. Having deployed the safety car, he has to then follow the safety car regulations. He can't cut short those regulations. They are there for a purpose. So, an invalid interpretation of 15.3. But Martin, ahead of Red Bull going into the corrupt steward's appeal to present 15.3 as validity, Martin somehow knows about it, because he's asking everybody, will Michael Masi carry this regulation out or not? And he's never seen him not do it in the last 10 years of commentating on the sport as the presented expert, sat alongside Crofty.
I think it's absolutely mandatory, but that's normally on a wet day that they don't.
But normally on a wet day. Absolute gaslighting lies.
And if so, how long will they wait?
How long will they wait, says Martin. But yet we know that the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. We know that by now, Martin, as we all knew it for the 10 years previous to that.
For those lap cars to get out of the way, if they wait for them to catch the pack up, which they don't have to do,
Nope, Crofty knows.
Then I don't think we'll get a racing lap. If they let them through, we could get one racing lap.
Now, let's go back to Facebook, because I want to see what Crofty's got to say.
But just the 5 in between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Then the safety car comes in straight away. That shouldn't have happened.
That shouldn't have happened. That shouldn't have happened. But you were being objective before this did happen, weren't you? You were asking us, what do Red Bull want? I'll remind you that shouldn't have happened. But being objective at the time, Crofty, even though you know that shouldn't have happened, you were presented as being objective, asking us all what Red Bull want. Let's have a look. I'll fast forward it again. Let's have a listen to this bit.
And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Which means it's not safe yet to carry out this procedure. There's marshals still on the track, clearing the debris up at turn 14, as can be evidenced right here on driver cam view. When you look at Nicholas Latifi's camera, which I've just gone to, there it is, look, there's the marshals. You see, this is real time. This is not me changing to a different preloaded thing. This is, there they are, look. There's the marshals, and when I just take it to that view and zoom in there, there's marshals on the track there. That's why you can't release the lapped cars. And what we'll do, we'll go to the full-size screen. We'll go back to tracker view where we were. We'll have lost a few seconds.
So Mercedes will be
And we'll go back
to
there.
overtake.
It's not mandatory.
And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. It's not mandatory, says Martin Brundle, giving his presentation of 15.3. It's not mandatory due to Red Bull's 15.3, the race director's overriding authority argument, which is invalid. But who concocted that beforehand to make Martin lie to you?
In the regulations, which leaves Verstappen with a lot.
Oh, and this leaves Verstappen now with a lot to do, everybody. It leaves a lot to do. He absolutely deserved it.
Of work to do then.
So Mercedes will be Constructors' champions.
They are. Right now, they are. The very moment in time that Perez retired, Red Bull retired, Perez made Mercedes world champions for the Constructors' title. They began that race with a 28-point lead. Now, Red Bull can only achieve a maximum of 26 points. And that would be with Verstappen winning with the fastest lap, gets them 26 points. You're not going to overcome a 28-point deficit by achieving 26 points, are you? So even if the two Mercedes cars do not finish, they are Constructors' champions right now.
At the end of this race, as it stands at the moment, assuming that Hamilton and Bottas finish this race.
Don't make an assumption, Crofty, because that makes an ass out of you. An umption.
The Drivers' Championship, though, is very much up for grabs. The lapped cars won't be allowed to overtake, which means
it's not safe for them to overtake. As we'll go once again to the driver cams. And we'll go, oh, it's come off there. Nicholas Latifi's car. Let's have a look. Here it is. There they are. And we'll just take it to there so we can zoom in. What's going on up here? Oh, there they are. Marshall's still on the track. The lapped cars will not be allowed through, which means it's not safe yet to carry out this procedure. Tell us about it, Crofty. What does it mean? The expert of the sport, which means
to fight his way through Norris, Alonso, and also Ocon.
Doesn't mean that, does it? Because you can't resume racing like that. Because now Lando Norris is here in now 7th position. He will be in once he's classified 7th because Perez has retired. Gasly's fully caught the back of the pack. Ooh, that's skewed the outcomes.
And Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel.
Just tell us about the 5 cars that ultimately are the 5 that get released. You keep our attention focused on just the 5 there, Crofty.
None of which are for position, of course.
No.
You know, cars, well, it's showing 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th, but actually they all get promoted one place because of Perez's retirement. Yes, those cars in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th, none of those cars are for position, of course. Really? They're not competing for 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. And really, before you go racing, what you have to ensure is that that car in 7th can challenge for 6th as well. That's the way motor racing works, Martin. It's not an eliminator. It's not a case of, oh, if the leader comes by you, you're eliminated, race over. That's not the way it works. You'd have thought the expert of the sport could tell the global audience that, but clearly not. And his sidekick, Crofty there, you'd think he'd know as well, wouldn't you? But no, he's not paid for that. He's paid to present the facade.
Obliged to get out of the way, but Lewis will be long down the road.
That I suppose is the compromise that
This, says Crofty, is what he thinks is the compromise being made by the officials of the sport. I think the officials of the sport are compromising on the rules here. You're not allowed to do that. In a sport, you have the rules and the officials are there to apply those rules. Oh, I think the officials are making a compromise here. Why would you think that? Because they're not allowed to do so. Why would you not then explain to the world, well, what we are seeing here? Well, let's just check why they're not releasing the lap cars yet. Oh, they can't. Okay. Why are you proposing that this is a compromise?
race control have made here by giving the best possible chance for racing to the finish rather than
by giving the chance for racing to the finish for the real motor racing fans in their motor racing gaming chairs to get excited. What's he doing, Crofty?
finishing behind the safety car. They've decided the lap cars will stay where they are.
Oh, so that we get to see some excitement, they're going to break the rules. Is that what the compromise is, Crofty? They're not allowed to do that. Why are you just effortlessly explaining to us that that's what you think they are doing?
Cancel that. Lap cars will not be allowed to overtake.
F1 TV interjecting with the narrative. The Red Bull being hard done by narrative. The, oh, that leaves Max with a lot to do.
Yeah, of course. Typical decision.
Typical decision that this has come to disadvantage Max.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
Well, I'll try and look at this objectively.
Crofty being objective. We all know that the safety cars should have returned to the pits at the end of the following lap. We all know that they should have released all 8 cars. But he's looking at it objectively, real time, isn't he? He's able to be objective when commentating in the moment under such high pressure. Tell us about how objective you are, Crofty.
We should get 1 lap of racing here.
That's not being objective, is it, Crofty? Okay. The reason it's not being objective, okay, is when we look on here.
Laps of racing.
Oh, the drama. Red Bull praying to the racing gods.
Racing to the checkered flag.
There it is. She's got her hands together in prayer.
So what do Red Bull want?
What do Red Bull want? Well, let's not worry about what Red Bull want, okay? Let's, in the first instance, worry about the lives of these guys here that are clearing up the debris on the edge of the track. Let's not ask Red Bull what they want and what they think in the comments section, because the important thing is these guys' lives. Okay, so thanks for your objectivity, Crofty, and asking Red Bull what they want with your objectivity. I can't play it through on this view because it will get blocked on copyright again. So we'll go back and we'll rewind.
Have no laps of racing. I'll try and look at this objectively. We should get 1 lap of racing here. If we allow...
No, we shouldn't. This is the end of lap 56. It's a 58 lap race. Prior to the resumption of racing, you've got to carry out a mandatory procedure. That being, the cars that have been lapped that are eligible to unlap need to be released, and then the safety car returns to the pits at the end of the following lap. I've just showed you on the international feed that there are marshals still on track right at this moment. You cannot carry out that procedure, you cannot begin that procedure until the track is declared safe. It can only be declared safe once those marshals have left and the clerk of the course has inspected everything to make sure he is happy, declared the barriers fit for purpose, and then referred back to the race director saying we're good to go again. When it's good to go, you then begin the procedure. By the time that could happen, them cars will be on lap 57. That is the earliest time that those lapped cars can be given the order to be released. Lap 57 of a 58 lap race. The safety car then must return to the pits at the end of the following lap. Although the race director can keep it on track for a longer period of time if he feels there is still a safety concern, or if he feels that sporting fairness has not been restored to those competitors, hence he needs to prolong the use of that safety car. He cannot cut it short. But tell us, Crofty.
Allowed the lap cars to overtake, we'd have no laps of racing to the checkered flag.
I'll be objective. If he carried out the procedure, it'd be a safety car finish. Absolutely right, Crofty.
So what do Red Bull want?
What do Red Bull want? Do Red Bull want a safety car finish? No. Why are you asking us the question, Crofty? Because you're dismayed on Facebook in the aftermath when you've been found out.
And Max Verstappen and Gianpiero Lambiase is.
What does Gianpiero Lambiase want? Who gives a stuff? I don't.
Race engineer, do they want the chance, or do they want to finish behind the safety car with no overtaking?
Do Red Bull want the chance of racing, or do they want to finish behind the safety car? Let me be objective about this, says Crofty.
Because I think that is the decision that has come from race control.
Because I think race control are going to break the rules to give Red Bull that chance. Lovely objective work there, Crofty. Lovely.
And personally,
this is just your personal opinion, Crofty.
This is the decision that gives them the best chance if they want it.
Yeah.
Personally, this is the decision that gives Red Bull the best chance if Red Bull want it.
I mean, the regulation, as I said, they may allow the lap cars through. It's not mandatory.
It is, Martin. So, but for the third time, because it is the rule of three, if you say something 3 times, that's what conditions people's minds to believe it to be true. Isn't that right, Martin? Like I say, it's not mandatory in the regulation. It is, Martin. Here it is. Lando Norris, yeah. This guy that's now showing you in 7th position on this list here down the right-hand side, right? He's in a race. He's in the top 10. He's in 7th at the moment, fighting for World Championship points. The race has been neutralised due to having to deal with a safety incident. And when we get going again, they're all going to go racing again, aren't they? And they're all fighting for positions, for point scoring places for that World Championship. Lando here, he can't challenge 6th because 6th is all the way here now, almost an entire lap ahead. Hence, you've got to carry out that mandatory regulation before you go racing again. But Martin's telling you that he doesn't think it's mandatory. But that's normally on a wet day in Belgium. But there's no evidence of that, Martin, is there? No, you've got no evidence of that because that's not the truth, is it, Martin? But you're conditioning the minds of everybody, aren't you, Martin?
To point it out, but as you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through.
Oh, as you say, I agree with what you say. Yes, and I agree with what you say. We'll affirm one another. Absolutely right there, Martin. Absolutely right there, Crofty. Yes.
Because I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and there will be one racing lap.
These guys predicting that the rules are going to be broken before the rules are broken. Because they're not yet broken. Right? They're not broken yet. All that's happened is they've not been able to carry out that procedure because there were marshals on the track and it couldn't be declared safe for them to carry out the procedure. Okay? And even if they do carry out the procedure now, which they still can, all it means is a safety car finish. But Brundle's predicting that they're going to break the rules to manufacture a last lap shootout. You're predicting they're going to break the rules to create a last lap of racing. But we all know what the rules are, don't we, Crofty? What does Crofty know? Let's just check what Crofty knows. Let's have a look on Facebook again.
Rule states the safety car stays out for another lap.
Absolutely right, Crofty. The rules state that the safety car stays out for another lap. Let's just have a read of that. 2021, the truth will come out one day. Everybody knows, in and out of the sport, that this was all wrong. Absolutely right. Let's just play this on for a minute, see if Crosty's got any more to say for himself.
We have to use this moment to make sure that this never happens to anybody else in the sport ever again.
Jonathan Wheatley's done his job. He's turned Michael Massey, the race director, not only in Abu Dhabi, but
Jonathan Wheatley has done his job, says Toto.
before. Probably Max owes him a lot.
The championship winner wasn't decided by Hamilton or by Mercedes or by Red Bull or by Verstappen. It was decided by a guy.
Race control. How many's in race control? Who showed us the footage of race control from Abu Dhabi 2021? Because they've frequently got the cameras in race control. And wouldn't it be surprising if they didn't have the cameras in race control for the season-ending title-deciding race? Coincidental? Or does it exist and they've just never showed us?
Guy who, with one decision, changed the complete outcome of a championship.
It was just Michael Massey whose one decision changed that. It was nothing to do with the complicity of all the teams in accepting that one decision and not protesting it, because it impacted other teams as well. It wasn't anything to do with the commentators of the sport lying about what was possible before he broke the rules of the sport, was it? It was nothing to do with F1 TV creating the narrative, interjecting with, oh, Red Bull are being hard done by here. So what do Red Bull want? I'm being objective here. Do they want the chance or do they not? Typical decision. I'm not surprised. It wasn't anything to do with the FIA stewards inviting Red Bull in to the Mercedes appeal, where Mercedes were appealing to the FIA stewards that the FIA had broken its rules. The FIA race director, Massey, has broken the rules and therefore you need to reinstate to the previous lap. Oh, let's invite Red Bull in to ask what they think. And so Red Bull can propose their interpretation of the rules that they've competed under for the last 199 Grand Prix. But for this one, they've got a different interpretation that Martin Brundle seemed to be aware of when he was gaslighting everybody and telling us all that that rule's not mandatory, everybody. He doesn't think that it's mandatory that you have to release those lapped cars because that's usually on a wet day when you don't have to do that. Where did you contrive that, codswallop from Martin? But it's all this guy. Let's just pin it on him, get him to sign an NDA, pay him off, and make him sign something so he never says anything. You know, that legal mechanism to enable him to be silent. Well, no, it doesn't enable you to be silent when you're facing criminal charges of fraud. All that is a little gentleman's agreement between you and the sport so that you don't speak out to reveal the corruption in the sport. Otherwise, they claim that money back off you, Michael, that they've given you for your silence. That's all the NDA is. Doesn't mean that when you face a criminal trial that, oh, I'm not allowed to say, otherwise they'll take their money back. That's all the NDA is, Michael. It was wrong. It was very wrong. It was a fraud. It was corrupt. Let's play this through, because we get surprised at what then happens. We're on lap 57.
They'll all get blue flags, I would imagine.
No. They don't get blue flags because you can't resume racing like this, Crofty. You cannot resume racing like this.
Christian and Michael.
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, why aren't we getting these?
F1 TV interjecting to the global audience with what Christian Horner feels. Tell us how you feel, Christian. Doesn't matter how you feel, Christian. We're now on lap 57. Okay? If we carry out this mandatory regulation, then what happens is the 8 cars get given the order to unlap. And that is on lap 57. And then the safety car returns to the pits at the end of the following lap. It's a safety car finish. Now, you would think that F1 TV, this broadcasting entity, okay, you'd think that they understood the sport, that they had their cameras on. Now, you would think if you were involved in Formula One and your job was to be able to capture the images of that sport and then knit together all of those images and all of the audio and broadcast that to the world, that you would have a firm understanding of the mechanics of the sport and what needed to happen so that you could put together the things that were relevant to inform the people, wouldn't you? You would think that was a minimum requirement of that role. It's just yet further incompetence. It's further incompetence. Isn't it strange that everybody involved in this, they're only human after all. Don't put the blame on me. I'm only human after all. We've all made human errors here. Not a single person in the whole show has got any competence whatsoever. Is it just a total lack of competence of the hundreds of people that were all involved? Or is it that the hundreds of people involved were all part of the contrivance? Let's just say they're all incompetent, shall we? Maybe that's their only defence. Let me know what you think in the comments section.
These lap cars out of the way.
Christian, just give me a minute, Christian. It's not about getting them out of the way. It's about restoring sporting fairness to all competitors. Because Lando Norris was closer to Gasly here at the end of the snake than your boy Max was when Latifi crashed. And you know that we've got to carry out this mandatory regulation to restore sporting fairness to these competitors, having interjected in this race to neutralise racing with that safety car. We're on lap 57. Even if I do this now, the safety car stays out on track for a further lap, whilst those cars are making it around the track and trying to catch the back of the safety car snake. This is going to be a safety car finish, Christian. I mean, it might not have happened this lap, this actual conversation. F1 TV are choosing this conversation to broadcast to the world. We don't know when it took place, but they are choosing it to guide our thoughts. They are making the viewer aware of this conversation because that shows the viewer that, oh, Red Bull are asking Michael Massey to do... Oh, they're putting him under pressure. Poor Michael being under pressure. How do you construct a narrative? Oh, just like this, really. Just like this.
Because Christian, just give me a second. Okay, my big one is to get this incident clear.
You only need one racing lap.
You're not going to get one, Christian. If you can't release the lapped cars until lap 57, it's a safety car finish. What lap are we on? Lap 57. So it's a safety car finish. F1 TV would know that. Everybody would know that. Martin Brundle, David Croft would know that. But this is what they're playing us.
Well, I assume Christian's
told you not to make assumptions, Crofty.
Talking about then, getting the lap cars out of the way, not clearing the incidents away.
Yeah, I mean, all of the cars in front of Max will get blue flags and are duty.
Nope. Remember the rule of threes and the blue flags? We keep hearing that bit as well.
Bound to get out of the way, but they're all in a reasonable fight themselves, aren't they?
Oh, I thought that none of them were for position. You told us before. None of those cars are for position. Now they're all in a reasonable fight for themselves. A reasonable fight. But Lando here in 7th, he's not in a reasonable fight with 6th, is he? He was before Latifi crashed. He was in equally a reasonable fight as to Max was in a reasonable fight with Lewis, wasn't he? 12 seconds behind. You can't now go, oh, Max is right behind Lewis, but that reasonable fight for Lando, no, you're a lap behind him. That's not reasonable, is it?
Well, so here we go. Normally,
Here we go. What do you know? Here we go, says Crofty. Here we go. Where are we going? Nothing's happened yet. Where are we going, Crofty? Here we go.
You'd see the race leader backing up the pack a little bit when the safety car goes. I would imagine on this occasion, if we do get a lap, Martin, Hamilton will...
Why are you saying the safety car is going to go? The safety car returns to the pits at the end of the following lap after the unlapping has happened. Right? That's the regulations. The unlapping hasn't happened. So here we go. Well, why do you think that the rules are going to be broken? They've not been broken yet. What makes you think that they're going to be broken, Martin and David, the commentators of the sport? Why are you predicting that the rules are going to be broken? Because that's not authentic commentary, is it? Commentators of a sport predicting that, we think they're going to break the rules of the sport to create an exciting ending to this sport. Well, that's not sport, is it? That's a contrivance. But here we go, everybody. We think that they're going to break the rules of the sport for this now.
Will want to be disappearing off into the distance.
But he was outraged afterwards because we know it has to stay on track for another lap.
As fast as he can.
But at the time, here we go, everybody.
I don't see any way Verstappen can do anything with that, but indeed is...
Verstappen can't do anything with that. But he absolutely deserved it.
The safety car coming in this lap, we think it...
But is the safety car coming in this lap? We think it could do, should do. Hang on a minute, what are we seeing here? Well, we're seeing these lapped cars pass the leader. Well, firstly, that has to happen. And then the safety car returns to the pits at the end of the following lap. What's Martin telling us?
Martin, Hamilton will want to be disappearing off into the distance as fast as he can.
Yeah, I don't see any way Verstappen can do anything with that, but indeed, is the safety car coming in this lap? We think it should do, could do.
Why would you think it should do, could do? Because that's not in any of the regulations, Martin. Not a single one. Only if this invalid interpretation of 15.3 is applied. Where did you get the invalid interpretation of 15.3? Because I thought that was only presented in the steward's appeal after the race, Martin. But you're proposing that rule break using that notion before it happens, Martin. What's going on there, Martin? Could you be in on the fix, Martin? I would suggest, being objective here, yeah, you're in on the fix, Martin.
Is there any more debris to clear up?
We think that the safety car could come in this lap. Is there any more debris to clear up? Do you think the reason that the safety car is out on the track is because there's debris on the track? Do you think that's why it's there for, Martin? But you think it's going to come in, but is there any more debris on the track? Are you just trying to disorientate people, Martin? Gaslight people, disorientate people, keep people guessing. What's going on here? What's going on here?
But we're halfway round already.
Race control are now saying lapped cars to overtake the safety car. So Norris and Alonso and Ocon and Leclerc and Vettel.
Just 5.
And it's ending. And it's ending. Wow.
Wow. Wow. You know, Toto Wolff was distraught afterwards at the injustice. You know, Brundle and Crofty have just told us, oh, these 5 cars have been told and it's ending. Wow, it's ending. Now, in the time it takes for that to happen, F1 TV have been able to record what Toto Wolff's reaction to it is, make sure he's not swearing, and be able to have that queued up for this exact moment.
Mike.
Yeah, it was smooth that was, wasn't it? You couldn't make that up, could you? Unless you did.
So, there's confusion, but the safety...
There's confusion. Yeah, I got confused by the commentators lying about the rules and what the possibilities were before they were broken. And then they were broken. That's confusing, isn't it?
Car is coming in at the end of this lap. So those back markers allowed...
Those back markers... 7th place, is he a back marker? What's your definition of a back marker? Okay, the last car here is 6th place. Is he a back marker, or is a car that's behind Max Verstappen who's 12th? Is he the back markers? Those back markers. Which ones? Which ones are the back markers, Crofty?
To overtake the safety car, and that has now left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Michael, this isn't right.
Absolutely right, Toto.
It has left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen side by side. Hamilton will be ahead. Verstappen is absolutely desperate to get on with this on that soft compound tyre. We're going to have 1 lap of racing to decide the champion.
Exciting. We're going to have 1 lap of racing to decide the championship. Having broken the rules to actually manufacture this. Oh, the excitement! This isn't allowed. This is setting things up, which we actually understand that by breaking the rules, setting it up for this, is handing a significant advantage to one competitor. But he absolutely deserved that, didn't he? He absolutely deserved to have the rules broken for him to hand him a significant advantage. Well, that isn't sport. Let's all be outraged about it in the aftermath, after you've been paid to condition people to accept it before it happens.
Championship in 2021. Hamilton has the advantage. Verstappen has the faster.
Hamilton's the one with the advantage, though. Hamilton's got the advantage there on 44 lap old hard tyres against fresh soft compound tyres. Oh yes, Hamilton's got the advantage there. Thank you for your valuable insight there, Crofty.
Mikey, what was that?
Toto, it's called a motor race, okay?
Have you spoken to Michael Massey?
No. I haven't spoken to him and I don't intend to speak.
Now, you'd think, being a billionaire, you'd think you'd have a bit of a brain, wouldn't you? You'd think you kind of know how things work. You don't generally become a billionaire just randomly, do you? You don't just have a go on the Euro Millions lottery and just become a billionaire. You tend to know how things work and do the sorts of things that you need to do to become a billionaire. So you'd think that Toto Wolff knew about Formula One and what the rules and regulations are, like the rest of us, who aren't billionaires, But you think Toto might, it'd be within his interests to educate himself as to the rules and regulations of the sport that he's competing in, that a lot of his wealth is attached to. So you'd think he'd know, and you'd think he'd know when they were cheating his driver. Or is he one of the hundreds that are incompetent in all of this? They're all just human. After all, don't put the blame on them.
Ever again.
Mercedes have no idea what has just gone on.
No idea. No, none of us have.
Max is a worthy world champion.
Absolutely right, Ted. Yeah, you tell us that. Ted, is that what you're telling us? He's worthy. Yeah, they broke the rules all season to allow his ram raid technique. You know, move out the way, otherwise I'll smash into you. That sort of driving. Yeah, that makes him worthy.
But there's no doubt Lewis was robbed. To get the rules changed in the middle of the race to the way that they normally...
Just for the last lap. They changed it in the middle to engineer the last lap, did they, Ted? Well done, you. Well done.
...are done is incomprehensible to Mercedes and has left...
And Mercedes, yeah, will never comprehend. No, nobody will. No, just Mercedes won't.
The rest of us...
Let's tribalise people. Let's divide people. Everybody else is fine with it, but Mercedes are not.
Asking, well, how did that happen?
We were told that lapped cars couldn't unlap themselves, and they were...
Due to there being marshals on the track, due to it still being a major safety concern, hence you don't carry out the procedure. It was a gaslighting banner, because the message, as detailed in the regulations, is overtaking will not be permitted. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. That's not even a message. The contrivance begins there.
We were told that lapped cars could unlap themselves.
So what do Red Bull want, Crofty? Tell us what Red Bull want. Be objective.
But just the 5 in between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
And it's ending, and it's ending. Wow. So Hamilton with the advantage. Thanks for your valuable insight. It was an entire contrivance. It was a fraud. It was a sporting fix. That's a fraud. The UK Serious Fraud Office won't investigate that. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Makes you wonder. So you do have to drill down to the root of this and who controls. Who's the controlling influence over the things that take place in this world? Well, if a crime takes place and somebody owned by the empire massively gains financially out of it, we get lied to. We get presented with information that's a lie to validate and condition us to believe some sort of authenticity to what has taken place, and nothing gets done about it. No consequence. They get to keep their illegally gotten gains. Anybody that's not part of that, they'll show you how the law works then. They'll apply the law and they'll impose penalties and sanctions against those. But not if you're part of the empire. So do your research, find out what the empire is, who are the greater financial controlling interests, and what it is they do own. And what they do own is all the mind conditioning machine, all of the media who has conditioned you all to believe some sort of authenticity to that before the fraud even took place. By lying to you before it even took place to make you believe something like that was even possible. That's how bad this is. That's how bad this is. So we get clips like this. Yes, the truth will come out one day. They'll suppress it for as long as they can, but people will need to wake up to it. So please share this. Hopefully it helps more and more wake up, because that's what it's going to take in this world. The more people that wake up to see what is really going on, what we're really being presented with, is ultimately what it's going to take. So please share it, and more to come. Thanks for your time.